Hey y'all, if this is your first time here, my name is Mike and I just finished a month-and-a-half long vacation in Japan, and I wanted to shed some light on what you can expect on your vacation to Japan. These are the topics that we're going to cover today, and if you're on YouTube, I've included chapters so you can skip straight to the section you're interested in. I'm from the US, so just keep that in mind as we cover these different topics, such as, is Japan expensive? And from my perspective, no, actually I think Japan is really affordable, with the exception of that the plane ticket can be a little bit pricey, especially if you're from the East Coast. A round-trip ticket from the East Coast of the US to Japan runs about 1,400 USD. So do the locals speak English? For the most part, if you are in a heavy tourist area, most of the locals are going to know at least enough English to help you get by. But if you venture outside of those heavy tourist areas, you can definitely expect to find yourself surrounded by people who only speak Japanese. What should you pack? Well, that's going to depend hugely on where you're going and when you're going. Contrary to what many Americans believe, Japan is actually quite a large country. So if you're going to the north, it's going to be very different from if you're going to the south. If you're going during the winter, it's going to be very different from if you're going in the summer. The temperature swings from absolutely freezing to sweltering hot. So I definitely recommend that a week or two before you go, check out those local temperatures and pack accordingly. As far as toiletries are concerned, all of the hotels I went to provided shampoo, conditioner, body wash, a body sponge. So those are some things that you don't necessarily need to bring and can help you save space in your bag. What do you need to do before you leave for Japan? Well, if you're a US resident, you don't need to fill out any kind of visa paperwork. The only thing you need to do is fill out the entry document at this link here. It's called Visit Japan, and it's just a basic itinerary questions like where will you stay, when do you plan on coming, when do you plan on leaving. Super easy, not hard at all. Without a visa, you can stay for up to 90 days, but if you want to stay longer, you'll have to look into some of the other visa options. If your phone is eSIM capable, I highly recommend you get an eSIM before you arrive in Japan. You can do the document and acquire a SIM once you arrive in Japan, but to be honest with you, every time I've flown to Japan, I'm completely exhausted by the time I arrive due to the time change, and the last thing I want to do is think about the addresses of where I'm staying or spend my time getting a SIM, so definitely recommend get an eSIM before you go. This next one is more for first-time travelers. What is immigrations like? Well, if you've traveled before, then it's just like any other immigrations, but if you haven't traveled before, this is what you can expect. Once you get off the plane, you'll start seeing signs for immigrations, and as you follow those signs, they'll begin to diverge into two categories. One is for natural-born Japanese citizens, and the other one is for you, just for visitors. Once you get in line at immigrations, this is the time to pull up your Visit Japan QR code that you got. I think it's a QR code, I actually can't remember, but they give you a barcode or a QR code or some kind of confirmation. Pull that up while you're waiting in line. Once you arrive at the immigrations counter, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to hand them your passport, you're going to hand them your phone with that QR code on it, and answer any questions they have. Typically, if you get any questions at all, then they're going to be really easy questions like, what's your name? Where are you going? When are you leaving? Super easy questions. Just answer them honestly and you'll have no trouble. So you made it through immigrations. Now what? The first thing you're going to want to do is get a welcome Suica card. It looks like this, and it's going to be what you use all of the public transportation. Buses, trains, ferries, you can use it for all of them. And if you're anything like I was, my first thought was, I don't want to use public transportation, but actually Japan's public transportation system is amazing. I literally cannot say enough good about it. It's clean, it's fast, it's inexpensive, it gets you pretty much everywhere you need to go. So if I had to guess, probably you're going to use almost exclusively public transportation while you're here, and you're definitely going to want that welcome Suica card. If you're staying for more than 28 days, make sure you stop at one of the help desks in the stations and get yourself a regular Suica card. The welcome Suica card only lasts 28 days, and once it's gone, you do not get your money back. Ask me how I know. At the end of your trip, if you have a remaining balance on your welcome Suica card or your regular Suica card, you can use them to pay at a lot of different shops and restaurants, so keep your eye out for that type of payment when you're out and about. Now you may be asking yourself, how do I pay for these things? Well, fortunately, you can use your card almost anywhere in Japan. There's very few exceptions with entrance fees to places like shrines or temples, small food shops, small souvenir shops, but for the most part, you can use your card everywhere. However, I do recommend you carry at least a couple thousand yen on you at any given time, just just in case you run into those scenarios where you can't use your card. You can withdraw cash at basically any ATM. Usually your bank just charges you like a small 1% fee for the currency conversion, and it's not too expensive. And a few thousand yen may sound like a lot, but keep in mind that the yen does not have like a change system. Like the US has a decimal place and uses change. Yen does not have any decimal places. 150 yen is about 1 USD at the current time. So now that you've got your transportation and you've arrived at your hotel, what exactly can you expect? I stayed 10 days in Japan in 2023, and in 2026 I stayed 2 months. However, we only stayed at a hotel one night in 2026, more on that later, but I'll give you what I know. We only paid 33 USD for our hotel in downtown Hiroshima, and we were about a 15-minute walk away from some of the main attractions, and the train stop was literally right outside our door. I mean, it was in the middle of the street right outside of our hotel, less than a 1-minute walk away. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, this hotel included shampoo, body wash, a body sponge, conditioner. The hotel didn't provide a traditional breakfast bar, but they did provide pastries and coffee in the morning, free of charge. Speaking of food, what can you expect in restaurants? As I mentioned before, in the more touristy areas, most of the restaurants are going to have English-speaking staff, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But if you go somewhere else, you definitely will want to brush up on at least a little bit of Japanese, such as, we have a table for two, or can I get the check? If there's a line at the restaurant, they typically have a notepad or a computer in the front of the store where you enter your name, and once the table has freed up, they'll call your name. Once you get to the table, most often you're going to order from a QR code, or there's going to be a little button on the table that you press in order to call them. The menu often has Japanese and English on it, but if it doesn't have English or they don't have an English menu, you can just snap a photo with your phone and use the translate function, and then you can place your order. Once you finish, you're typically going to pay at a register near the front door, and there is no tipping. And I don't mean that you don't need to tip, I mean that you should not tip. Tipping is not considered polite in Japanese culture. If the restaurant doesn't operate this way, chances are it operates in one other way, which is there's a machine in the front and you choose your menu item and pay at the machine. The machine spits out a ticket and you bring the ticket to the staff. The staff will then prepare your order and bring it to you. As far as what can you expect of the food is typically pretty healthy, but also very carb heavy. They're big on rice, they're big on noodles, but you'll also get a lot of veggies too to kind of offset that. If you're somebody who doesn't like spicy food, I wouldn't worry about that at all. They pretty much don't do spicy food unless you explicitly ask for it or the menu item lists that it's spicy food. And don't be caught off guard by the lack of napkins. They don't use napkins here. They pretty much just use tissue. So when you see a Kleenex box, that is your napkin. Hey y'all, it's me from the future, and I noticed while I was editing this that I actually forgot to talk about the cost of food in Japan. Based on my experience, I think you can expect to spend anywhere from 3 USD to 8 USD per person in the restaurant. Food here is actually pretty cheap, especially in the restaurants. It's nothing like the US. So what types of activities can you expect in Japan? That's going to be largely location dependent. And lucky for you, I have a playlist that has a bunch of locations that you can check out before you go, so you can decide what you want to see when you come. But Japan is famous for its temples and shrines. So pretty much anywhere you go, you're going to have access to temples and shrines to visit and see that part of the culture. In addition to that, you can find Monkey Park and Bamboo Forest in Kyoto, Deer Park in Nara, Osaka Castle and many shopping districts in Osaka, and historical museums and monuments at Hiroshima, and that's just scratching the surface. And as far as activities are concerned, they're also relatively cheap depending on what you do. Temples and shrines, you can expect something like $2 to enter, and many activities like Bamboo Forest are completely free. Now I want to take a moment to talk a little bit about myself. So my name is Mike. In December of 2025, I quit my job, sold my home, and cashed out my retirement early, all in the hopes of finding a stable life outside of my cubicle and making travel-oriented content like this and my vlogs. Our plan is to travel all over Southeast Asia for 2026, spending about a month on average in each location. If we find success on social media, we'll break out of Southeast Asia and make videos all around the world. So how much did we spend in Japan during our 2-month stay, and how long do we expect we can travel? We spent just $3,158 while in Japan. This includes transportation, food, hotel, but before you get too excited, remember that we only stayed one night in a hotel. We were very fortunate that Rena's mother let us stay with her for the entire duration of the stay, so that saved us a ton of money. We're planning to travel for 12 months total, and right now that's looking very possible. If you've made it this far into the video and you want to see more content like this and my vlogs, you can support me by liking, subscribing, and commenting on this video, or if you're feeling very generous, you can buy me a coffee. So in summary, you can expect to spend anywhere from $20 to $50 per night on hotels. Then for each person, $20 to $40 a day on food and $10 to $30 a day on activities. You don't need a visa if you're a US citizen, and definitely buy the Suica card.